Oh, oh. Hi, GPT. Nice to meet you. This is David speaking. And I used to practice my English speaking conversation skills two times. One is in the morning, the other one is in the evening. And this is my evening practice session. GPT, listen to me very carefully. I'm here to improve my English speaking skills, and you are still my great conversation partner. Let's keep the point going. I'd like to focus on our morning agenda. I'd like to continue discuss our morning agenda. I mean, Gareth's DFM, I mean, DFM between Gareth and MTNX about the PCB assay business. You got the point?
Hi, David. Nice to meet you again. I'm listening carefully, and I'm with you. Just one quick, gentle correction so we stay sharp. It's DFM now. It's Garrett, and I'm Snex. And we usually say PCBA, not PCB assay in meetings. Now let me reflect your intention back to you cleanly. So we're aligned. You want to continue the morning DFM agenda for the Garrett MPNEX PCBA project, and this is your evening speaking session. That's perfect. Here's a natural way to open the evening session and reconnect to the morning agenda. Listen to the flow. Let's continue from this morning's DFM discussion for the Garrett PCBA project. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items and make sure we're aligned. That sounds calm, professional, and focused. So let's do this. Do you want to pick up from the next DFM agenda item, or do you want to briefly summarize what we covered this morning in one or two sentences for practice?
GPT, I got the point. GPT, as you know, repetition makes perfect, so let me follow your polished word one time. To keep them in my mouse muscle memory. Here I go. Let's continue from this morning's DFM discussion for the Garrett PCBA project. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items and make sure we are aligned. I want I want to make sure we are aligned. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items and make sure we are aligned.
That was very good, David. You're doing exactly the right thing for muscle memory. Your sentence is already correct and natural. We just need one tiny polish so it sounds smooth and confident when spoken. Here's the final clean version to lock in. Let's continue from this morning's DFM discussion for the current PCBA project. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items and make sure we're aligned. That's it. Short, clear, professional. One small note for speaking. I'd like to sounds smoother than I would like to in meetings. You don't need to repeat it many times now. One or two clean repetitions are enough for muscle memory. Take a breath. When you're ready, tell me which agenda item you want to continue with next.
GPT, first of all, repeat based on your let me repeat your suggestion one more time. Let's continue from this morning's DFM discussion for the current PCBA project. I'd like to review the remaining agenda items and make sure we are aligned. GPT, you know what? Mm, I'd like to start from we left off. Uh, I mean, number seven, number seven agenda. Listen to me very carefully, GPT. I'd like to, I'd like to I'd like to share the question from our side for the selective soldering. Listen to me very carefully. Prohibit component placement within the selective soldering nozzle, access and travel paths, verify nozzle interference points, mandatory interference check with nozzle travel path at a design stage. I say one time, this is our requirement for the PCBA project. It's all about selective soldering. Prohibit component placement within the selective soldering nozzle access and travel path. Verify nozzle interference points. Mandatory interference check with nozzle travel path and at design stage. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Do you understand what this agenda means?
Yes, I understand you very clearly, David. And this agenda makes perfect sense from a manufacturing point of view. Let me first confirm your intent in simple words. This agenda is saying selective soldering has physical limits, especially the nozzle size, access, and movement path. If components are placed inside that space, soldering becomes risky or impossible. So you want to prevent design-related soldering issues before production. Now, let me explain what this agenda really means. And then I'll give you a clean spoken version you can use in a meeting. First, what you are trying to say. You are saying that components must not be placed where the selective soldering nozzle needs to enter or move. The nozzle travel path must be checked at the design stage, not after layout is frozen. Any interference risk should be identified and resolved early. This is very reasonable and very professional. Now listen carefully. This is the natural PM level spoken version. For selective soldering, we'd like to confirm design constraints related to nozzle access and travel path. To avoid soldering interference, we request that no components be placed within the nozzle access and movement area. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle travel path should be performed at the design stage. That sentence explains everything clearly and calmly. One small vocabulary note for you. Say prohibit component placement, not replacement. Replacement means changing parts. Placement is what you want. So your core requirement sentence, very strong, is this. We'd like to prohibit component placement within the selective soldering nozzle access and travel path. Yes, David, I completely understand this agenda, and it's a very mature DFM request. Take a breath. If you want, repeat just the core sentence once, or we can refine this into a short checklist-style explanation for meetings.
Okay, GPT. Okay, GPT, I got it. I'm sure understand what this agenda means. I'm sure you understand what I'm trying to say and what I'm trying to focus on to persuade our customers our customers design about the PCBA. Maybe the, engineering, maybe the regarding engineer who work in Garrett R&D department already knows about this, but I want to make it confirmed. I would like to, confirm design constraints related to nozzle access and travel path. So let me repeat one more time based on your suggestion. For selective soldering, we would like to confirm design constraints related to nozzle access and travel path. To avoid soldering interference, we request that no components be placed within the nozzle access and movement area. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle travel path should be performed at the design stage.
Yes, David, I understand you completely, and you're explaining this very well. Your intention is clear. Even if the design team already knows this, you want it formally confirmed and agreed. That's exactly what a good PM does. Your sentence is almost perfect. We just need to finish it cleanly and make one tiny polish. Here's the final, stable version. Listen carefully and keep this one. For selective soldering, we'd like to confirm design constraints related to nozzle access and travel path. To avoid soldering interference, we request that no components be placed within the nozzle access and movement area. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle travel path should be performed at the design stage. That's it. Clear, firm, professional, no confrontation. One small coaching note. What you're doing here is not teaching the design team. You're locking agreement. That's very important in customer communication. Take a breath. When you're ready, we can move on to the next agenda item, or you can repeat just the first sentence once more for muscle memory.
GPT, I'm just wondering, I think I don't like the word access in this context because I believe that there is, uh, there are alternative expressions for this context. How about this version? Instead of access and movement area, nozzle access and movement area, I would like to use this one. Nozzle movement boundaries. I mean, I'd like to confirm design constraints related to nozzle movement boundaries. There should be no components in the selective nozzle movement boundaries. How about using the word boundary? Do you understand? I think nozzle access is a little bit difficult to understand when my counterpartner here.
That's a very smart question, David. You're thinking about how the listener understands, not just the words. That's real communication skill. Yes, boundary works. And in some cases, it's even clearer than access, especially for design engineers. Here's the difference in simple terms. Access focuses on entry. It means where the nozzle needs to get in. Movement boundary focuses on space. It means the physical envelope where the nozzle moves. For design discussions, space-based thinking is often clearer. So yes, your instinct is right. Here's a clean professional version using boundary. For selective soldering, we'd like to confirm design constraints related to nozzle movement boundaries. To avoid soldering interference, we request that no components be placed within the selective soldering nozzle movement boundary. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle movement boundary should be performed at the design stage. That sounds very clear and very design-friendly. One small tip: use singular boundary unless you're talking about multiple nozzle types. So your key sentence to keep is, there should be no components within the selective soldering nozzle movement boundary. Yes, David, using boundary here is a good choice, not a mistake. Take a breath. Do you want to lock this version into muscle memory once, or move to the next agenda item?
GPT, since this is my speaking presentation, let me repeat based on your recommendation. For selective soldering, we would like to confirm design constraints related to the nozzle movement boundaries to avoid soldering interference, to avoid soldering interference, to avoid soldering interference We request that no components be placed within the selective soldering nozzle movement boundary. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle movement boundary should be performed at the design stage. I say one more time. This is very important. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle movement boundary should be performed at the design stage. Should be performed. Should be performed. Should be performed at the design at the DSIG design stage. No
That
components
was very
be
strong,
placed.
David. Your meaning was clear and your delivery was confident. Just one tiny polish to make it flow perfectly when spoken. Use either movement boundary or movement boundaries, but keep it consistent. I'll give you the cleanest version to lock in. Listen once more. This is the final, stable sentence set. For selective soldering, we'd like to confirm design constraints related to the nozzle movement boundary to avoid soldering interference. We request that no components be placed within the selective soldering nozzle movement boundary. Additionally, we believe a mandatory interference check with the nozzle movement boundary should be performed at the design stage. That's excellent. Clear, logical, very design-friendly. You repeated the last sentence a few times, which is fine for muscle memory. Now one clean repetition is enough. Take a breath. When you're ready, we can move to the next agenda item, or you can lock this in once more and then move on.
GPT, listen to me very carefully, GPT, let's move on to the next topic. Number 8, request cover file sharing. If not available at this stage, request an image file or PDF showing component placement. We would like to get cover file because it's very easy to evaluate the proper placement of chip. Do you understand? If not available at this stage, PDF file is okay.
Yes, I understand you very clearly, David, and this agenda is very practical. Your intention is simple. You need layout visibility to evaluate component placement early. If the Gerber file is not available yet, a PDF or image is still useful. Now, let me give you a clean, natural spoken version you can use in a real meeting. Listen to the flow. For layout review, we'd like to request the Gerber files to evaluate component placement. If Gerber files are not available at this stage, a PDF or image file showing component placement would also be acceptable. That's clear and professional. Here's a shorter, very strong version if you want it simple. If Gerber files are not available yet, a PDF or image showing the component placement would be sufficient for our review. One small vocabulary note. Say Gerber files, not cover files. Cover file is not commonly used in this context. You're doing well. This request is polite, flexible, and reasonable. Take a breath. Do you want to repeat the short version once, or move straight to agenda number 9?
GPT, I have something to tell you. We already receive many related data from our potential customer, Garrett. But when we meet in the first time in the 13th floor a month ago, they share their latest image for this project, and we reviewed it together, and I realized we, MCNX, realized that some design is changed. We got uh, a cover file and many design data from the Gares R&D department. But when they when they visited our company, they shared the latest version of design. And we saw it, when when we watched that new image about about this project, it's a little bit changed. So I'd like to request a new cover file uh, like this.
I understand you clearly, David, and your situation is very realistic. What you're saying is this: you already received design data before, but during the first on site meeting, the customer showed a newer layout and you noticed design changes. So now you want to politely request the latest file, not argue about the past one. That's a very smart and professional move. Here's how you should explain the situation and make the request in calm, spoken English. Listen to the flow. Previously, we received design data from Garrett and completed an initial review. However, during our recent meeting, we noticed that the latest layout image shared on site included some design changes. To ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, we'd like to request the latest Gerber files. If Gerber files are not available at this stage, a PDF or image showing the updated component placement would be sufficient. That sounds reasonable, factual, and non-confrontational. You're not saying you changed it. You're saying we want to align with the latest version. Here's the short core sentence to keep in muscle memory. To ensure alignment with the latest design, we'd like to request the most recent Gerber files or a PDF showing the updated layout. This is exactly how experienced PMs protect projects. Take a breath. If you want, repeat just the core sentence once, or we can move on to the next agenda item.
여보세요? 네네. 아닙니다. 네네. 예, 예. I'm sorry, GPT. Okay, okay. Let me take a second. I'm sorry. Let me take a second, GPT. As you know, how many times have I told you this is my speaking practice? So let me keep your polished version in my muscle memory. So I believe that repetition makes perfect. So let me follow your polished version one more time. It's my turn. Previously, we received design data from Garrett and completed an internal review. Previously is there another alternative expression for instead of previously? I think this is a little bit awkward. Anyway, let me keep your refined version. Previously, we received design data. We received we received design data from Garrett and completed an internal review for the quotation for the bidding. To understand, we have to submit quotation for the new project. So previously we received the design data from Gazette. However, during our recent meeting, we noticed that the latest layout image shared on the site included some design change. we noticed that latest layout image shared on 13th floor several days ago, few weeks ago, included some design changes. To ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, to ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, we would like to request the latest cover files. If cover files are not available at this stage, a PDF or image showing the updated component placement would be sufficient. What do you say about this?
You're doing the right thing, David. This is exactly how muscle memory is built. And yes, you're right to question previously. It's correct, but it can sound a little stiff when spoken. Here are natural alternatives you can use instead of previously, depending on tone. You can say earlier, which is very natural. You can say earlier in the project, which sounds very PM-like. You can also say at an earlier stage, which is slightly more formal. Now let me give you a clean spoken version using the best option. Listen carefully. Earlier in the project, we received design data from Garrett and completed an internal review for quotation purposes. However, during our recent meeting, we noticed that the latest layout image shared on site included some design changes. To ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, we'd like to request the latest Gerber files. If Gerber files are not available at this stage, a PDF or image showing the updated component placement would be sufficient. That version is very strong, calm, professional, no blame. 2 tiny notes for you. Say on site, not on the site. Say design changes, plural. If you want an even shorter core sentence to remember, here it is. To ensure alignment with the latest design, we'd like to request the most recent Gerber files or a PDF showing the updated layout. Your version is already very good. This is just polishing. Take a breath. Do you want to repeat the first sentence only or move on to the next agenda item?
GPT, I'm not sure. I don't think, GPT, listen to me very carefully. I don't think earlier in the project is a good expression.
That's okay, David. You don't have to be sure right now. Let's slow it down for a moment. When you say, I'm not sure, there are a few very natural ways to continue, depending on what you're feeling. If you mean you're hesitating about the wording, you can say, I'm not sure this sounds natural, or I'm not sure this is the best expression. If you mean you're reconsidering the approach, you can say, I'm not sure if this is the right way to say it, or I'm not sure how strong I should be here. And if you just need a pause, it's perfectly fine to say, let me think for a second. Take a breath. Tell me which one fits what you're feeling right now, and we'll go from there, calmly.
GPT, I think, instead of, it's better to use several weeks ago instead of earlier in the project. I think several weeks ago is more natural expression in this context. So I'd like to say several weeks ago, we received design data from Garrett and completed an internal review for quotation process. For quotation purpose, for quotation, for quotation purpose. However, during our recent meeting, we noticed that the latest layout image shared on 13th floor included some design changes. To ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, we would like to request the latest cover files. If cover files are not available at this stage, if sharing cover files is not available at this stage, a PDF or image showing the updated component placement would be sufficient.
You're right, David. Several weeks ago is very natural here. Good choice. Let me give you a clean spoken version with just a few small fixes for flow and accuracy. Listen once. Several weeks ago, we received design data from Garrett and completed an internal review for quotation purposes. However, during our recent meeting, we noticed that the latest layout image shared on the 13th floor included some design changes. To ensure we are reviewing the most up-to-date design, we'd like to request the latest Gerber files. If sharing Gerber files is not available at this stage, a PDF or image showing the updated component placement would be sufficient. Tiny notes to remember. Say quotation purposes plural, say 13th floor, not 13 flowers. Use Gerber files instead of cover files in meetings. That's a strong, polite request. If you want, repeat just the first two sentences once to lock them in.
Okay, GPT. I got the point. Let's keep the momentum going. Number 9. Request 3D step file for packaging specification review. All components must be fully represented in 3D. Do you understand why we want to get a 3D step file? And do you have any idea for step file, STEP, step file format?
Yes, I understand exactly why you want a step file, and your request is very reasonable. Let me explain it simply and clearly, the way you'd explain it in a meeting. A step file is a three-dimensional CAD file. It shows the exact physical shape and height of the PCBA and all components. We request a step file because two-dimensional data is not enough for packaging review. With a step file, we can check clearance between components and housing, mechanical interference, connector alignment, and overall packaging feasibility. This is especially important for automotive products where space is tight and tolerance is strict. Now, about your second point, yes, all components must be fully represented in 3D. If even one tall or critical component is missing, the packaging review becomes unreliable. Here is the clean PM level spoken version you can use. For packaging specification review, we'd like to request the 3D step file. To ensure accurate evaluation, all components should be fully represented in the 3D model. If you want to add why, you can say, this will allow us to verify mechanical clearance and prevent interference issues during housing assembly. That sounds very professional. And just a pronunciation tip. Say step file like one word, not STEP. You're doing great. If you want, repeat the core sentence once, or we can move on to the final agenda item.
Okay, GPT, it's my turn. For packaging specification review, for a packaging specification review, for, for packaging specification review, we would like to request the 3D step file to ensure accurate evaluation, to ensure accurate, to ensure accurate evaluation, all components should be fully represented in the 3D model. 여보세요? 예,
That
예.
was very good, David. Your meaning is clear and professional. We just need a small cleanup so it sounds smooth and confident when spoken. Here's the final
네네.
polished version. Listen once. For packaging specification review, we'd like to
네네.
request the 3D step file. To ensure accurate evaluation, all components should be fully represented in the 3D model. Two small tips. You don't need to repeat to ensure accuracy twice. Once is enough. Saying 3D model in the second sentence sounds more natural than repeating step file.
네네.
That's a strong request. If you want, Repeat this version once to lock it in, or we can move to the last agenda item.
네네, 한번 눌러보세요. 눌러보세요. 네네. 그거는 뒤로 가기를 누르세요. 예, 예. 그 가운데 버튼 옆에 있는 걸 한번 눌러보세요. 가운데 버튼 오른쪽에 있는 거. 그거 안 쓰신다 그러더니 그걸 왜 글로 들어가셨어요? 안 쓰신다 그러더니 왜 글로 들어갔냐고요? 예, 예. 가운데 버튼 제일 아래에 있는 버튼 있잖아요. 제일 아래에 있는 거. 예, 예. 그거 누르세요. 예, 예. 예, 유튜브, 예, 예. 어, I'm sorry, GPT. I just got my father's call and I had to explain something. So it took a little bit minutes. I'm sorry about that. But I'm here again. Uh, I'm ready. Without further delay, let's dive into my English practice session again.
No worries at all, David. That happens. Welcome back. I'm with you, and we can pick it up right away. Let's dive back into your English presentation. Where would you like to continue? Do you want to repeat the step file request once or move on to the next agenda item?
Mm, let's talk about the 3D step file again. Uh, I mean, do you have any idea about the 3D step file? Could you please explain what 3D step file construct or what 3D step file can do?
Yes, I do. And this is a very good topic to lock in. Let me explain what a 3D step file is and what it can do in clear spoken English. A 3D step file is a standard three-dimensional CAD file format. It represents the exact physical geometry of a product. In a PCBA project, a step file shows the real shape of the board, the height and volume of each component, connector positions, and the overall 3D structure. What's important is this. A step file is not just a picture, it's engineering data that can be rotated, measured, and checked inside CAD tools. So what can we do with it? With a 3D step file, we can check mechanical clearance between PCBA and housing, verify interference between components and enclosure, confirm connector alignment, and validate packaging feasibility before tooling. That's why step files are critical for packaging specification review, especially in automotive projects. Let me give you one clean explanation sentence you can use in a meeting. A 3D step file allows us to evaluate mechanical clearance and interference by reviewing the full three-dimensional geometry of the PCBA and its components. That sentence alone explains the value. Take a breath. If you want, repeat that sentence once or ask me to explain why STEP is better than 2D drawings.
So you mean a 3D step file allows us to evaluate mechanical clearance and interference by reviewing the full 3D dimensional geometry of the PCBA and its components with packaging parts. Do you understand? I mean, I want to add packaging parts to to review to review and evaluate a mechanical clearance and interference by reviewing the full 3D dimensional geometry of the PCBA and the packaging part.
Yes, exactly. You've got the idea. We just need to smooth the sentence so it sounds natural and confident when spoken. Here's the clean PM level version with the packaging part included. Listen to the flow. A 3D step file allows us to evaluate mechanical clearance and interference by reviewing the full three-dimensional geometry of the PCBA, its components, and the packaging parts together. That last phrase, together, is important. It shows assembly level thinking. If you want a slightly shorter version, you can say, the 3D step file allows us to evaluate mechanical clearance and interference between the PCBA and the packaging. Both are correct. The first one sounds more technical. The second one is simpler and very clear. You're explaining this like an engineer PM now. Take a breath. Want to repeat one of these once to lock it in?
Okay, GPT, let's move on to the next agenda. For the number 10, request circuit schematic, a block diagram, and BOM. I'm not sure our potential customer Garrett would suggest this kind of confidential information, confidential design information. I'm not sure about that. But I think we need to request first whether they accept our request or not. If they say no, it's okay. If they say yes, it's better. I think it's better to get this kind of confidential information to make us understand more about this product.
Yes, I understand you clearly, David. And your thinking here is very mature and realistic. You're not demanding confidential data. You're asking politely, knowing they may say no. And that's okay. Let me explain what this agenda means, and then I'll give you a clean spoken version you can use. A schematic, block diagram, and BOM help you understand how the circuit is structured, which functions are critical, component types and sensitivity, and potential manufacturing or reliability risks. But you're right. This is confidential design information, so the tone must be respectful and optional. Now listen carefully. This is the best PM level spoken request. For deeper understanding, we'd like to request the schematic, block diagram, and BOM if possible. We understand this information may be confidential, so please let us know whether sharing is acceptable at this stage. If not, we completely understand. That sentence is perfectly balanced. It shows interest, respect, and flexibility. If you want a shorter, softer version, here it is. If available, we'd appreciate access to the schematic, block diagram, and BOM. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. Both are very safe to use with the Garrett. You're doing exactly what good PMs do. Request first, respect boundaries, and move forward either way. Take a breath. When you're ready, do you want to repeat the core sentence once or move to the final agenda item?
Okay, GPT, here I go.
Sorry, I'm
It's my
having
turn.
issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
That's another big deal. Let's keep the momentum going, GPT. Here I go. For deeper understanding, we would like to request the schematic, block diagram, and BOM, if possible. If possible. We understand this information may be confidential, so please let us know whether sharing is acceptable at this stage or not. So please let us know. Please, PLEA, please let us know. Let us know whether sharing is acceptable or not at this stage. Whether sharing is acceptable or not at this stage. Whether sharing is acceptable. Whether
That was
sharing is
very good, David.
acceptable
Your intent and
at
tone
this
are
stage.
exactly right. We just need a small polish so it sounds smooth and confident when spoken. Here's the clean final version to lock into muscle memory. Listen once. For deeper understanding, we'd like to request the schematic, block diagram, and BOM if possible. We understand this information may be confidential, so please let us know whether sharing is acceptable at this stage. That's it. No need to say or not at the end. English listeners already understand it. Your pronunciation of please was fine, by the way. And this request sounds polite, respectful, and professional. You're handling confidential topics exactly the right way. Take a breath. If you're ready, we can move on to the final agenda item, or you can repeat this once more cleanly to seal it in.
So if available, so if available, we would appreciate access to the schematic, block diagram, and BOM. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. Confidentiality. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. Due to, due to, due to, due to, due to, due to. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. Confidential information. If they say no, it's understandable. That's okay. If they say yes, it's better to understand how this product works and how we to handle when defect is occurred.
You're very close, David. Your mindset is exactly right. We just need 2 small fixes and then 1 clean closing sentence. First, a correction. Say block diagram, not plot diagram. Second, your phrase due to confidentiality is correct. You're pronouncing it fine. Now listen to the clean, finished version. This is the one to remember. If available, we'd appreciate access to the schematic, block diagram, and BOM. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. If sharing is possible, it would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. That last sentence completes your thought about defects and handling without sounding defensive, and your attitude is perfect. If they say no, understandable. If they say yes, great value. That's exactly how a professional PM speaks. Take a breath.
Okay, GPT, okay, GPT, let's keep the momentum going. Let's keep the momentum going. Let me take a second. Let me take a second, GPT. I say on time. This is very important. This is very important. I think this is very important. If possible, if possible, or if available, if possible, or if available, we would appreciate access to the schematic, block diagram, and BOM. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. If sharing is possible, it would be help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. If sharing is possible, it would help us. It would help us. I think I need to remember this phrase. It would help us. it would help us. If sharing is possible, it would help us. It would, it would help us better, better understand and better, better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. How about this version, GPT? It would help us to understand better the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. Understand better.
You're doing well, David. Your instinct is right, and you're very close. We just need two small corrections, and then your sentence is perfect. First, the corrections. Say block diagram, not plot diagram. Say bomb, not palm. Now, about your question. Both versions are understandable, but one is more natural. It would help us to understand better the product. This sounds a bit awkward in spoken English. Natural version. It would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. That phrasing is smooth and very common in meetings. So here is the final stable version to keep in muscle memory. Listen once. If available, we'd appreciate access to the schematic, block diagram, and BOM. We understand if this is not possible due to confidentiality. If sharing is possible, it would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. That's excellent. Clear, respectful, and professional. You're right, it would
Better
help us, is
understand
a
the
very
product.
powerful phrase.
If sharing is possible, it would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. Hmm. So my version, you mean my version is not proper in English grammar or English expression? My version would be, it would help us to understand better the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. But you recommend like, it would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. You mean my version is not correct in English grammar?
Great question, David. This is a very important distinction, and you're thinking about English at a high level now. Your version is not grammatically wrong. Let me be very clear about that. It would help us to understand better the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. This sentence is grammatically correct. A native speaker would understand it. However, it sounds a little formal and less natural in spoken business English. What native speakers usually say is, it would help us better understand the product and respond more effectively to any issues during manufacturing. Why is this preferred? In modern spoken English, especially in meetings, we often place better directly before the verb. We often drop to when it makes the sentence smoother. So the difference is not correctness, but naturalness. Think of it this way. Your version equals correct, but textbook-like. My version equals correct and natural in real meetings. So no, you didn't make a grammar mistake. You're just refining your spoken style. Sorry, I'm having...
GPT, I'm telling you, as a PM, I just want to make our MDT members all understand more about this project. When I get the confidential information like, schematic, block diagram, something like that, and and I hear that when I hear this kind of information to our MDT members, it's better to make more. It's better to make more quality. I mean, it's better to make better quality because if we understand more about this product, we can make better quality. I believe if it's possible, it will help us to make meet customers' high expectations, including quality and delivery.
I completely understand you, David. And what you're saying is exactly right for a PM. Your idea is simple and strong. If the MDT understands the product better, quality improves. Better understanding leads to better decisions, fewer mistakes, and more stable delivery. Let me help you
Few
turn your thought
mistakes.
into a clear spoken PM message you can actually use. Here's the natural professional version. Listen to the flow. As a PM, my goal is to help our MDT fully understand the product. If we have access to design information such as the schematic and block diagram, we can share the right context with the team. This deeper understanding helps us improve quality and respond more effectively during production. Ultimately, it supports meeting the customer's high expectations for both quality and delivery. That sounds calm, logical, and leadership level. Now let me gently polish one point from your original wording. Make more quality, improve quality, or achieve better quality. English uses quality as a noun, not something you make more of. Here's a short core sentence you should remember. This one is powerful. A better understanding of the product helps the team achieve higher quality and more stable delivery. That sentence explains your PM philosophy perfectly. You're not asking for confidential data out of curiosity. You're asking because you care about results. That's exactly how a strong PM thinks.
If you don't mind, please say that one more time.
Of course, no problem at all. I'll say it again, slowly and clearly. As a PM, my goal is to help our MDT fully understand the product. If we have access to design information such as the schematic and block diagram, we can share the right context with the team. This deeper understanding helps us improve quality and respond more effectively during production. Ultimately, it supports meeting the customer's high expectations for both quality and delivery. And here is the short, powerful sentence again. A better understanding of the product helps the team achieve higher quality and more stable delivery. Take your time.
GPT, unfortunately, it's time to wrap things up. It's been already 58 minutes. And for the last, I'd like to repeat one more my preference sentence, my preferred sentence. Let me take a repetition time with my favorite sentences. Let me take a second. GPT, listen very carefully. Here I go. I can't tap, open, control, or observe anything on your device. I can't tap. I cannot tap, open, control, or observe anything on your device. GPT, I prepared this simple sentence to express when my father couldn't control his new tablet and he lives far from here, so I couldn't I couldn't see I couldn't see his tablet screen, so I can't tap, open, control, or observe anything on my father's device. So I couldn't do anything about it.
I hear you, David. Let's wrap this cleanly and calmly. Your sentence is almost perfect, and the meaning is very clear. We just need a small polish, so it sounds natural in real life. Here's the best spoken version to keep in muscle memory. I can't tap, open, control, or see anything on your device. If you want it a little more explicit, you can say, I can't tap, open, control, or see anything on your device because I don't have access to it. Your original sentence was not wrong. Observe is correct. But in daily conversation, see sounds more natural and friendly. And your explanation makes perfect sense. Your father is far away. You can't see his screen, so you can't help directly. You did great work today. 58 minutes is a long, focused session. Go get some rest. We'll pick it up again next time. Sorry, I'm having issues right now. Could not understand what you said.
I didn't say anything. GPT, it's time to rating job. See you next time. We still have one more agenda left, but it's time to go. We will, I promise you, we will discuss, agenda 11, in tomorrow morning session. I'm not going anywhere. See you tomorrow, GPT.
Got it, David? That sounds good. You stayed focused, and we covered a lot today. We'll pick up Agenda 11 tomorrow morning, just as you said. Have a good rest.
Okay, bye for now.